take you on a drive today, and I want to talk about ideas. And although I feel most of us are filled with ideas, something stops us from realizing them. I want to dive into why is it that we don't have a lack of creativity when it comes to coming up with ideas, but we end up not making them a reality. In those first moments after getting an idea, I always take that first step right away. I have a logo sketched out, I come up with a catchy name, and I even think out the first business concept. But then I hit a wall. I start to overthink it all, and unconsciously I make it all complicated. I overthink what needs to happen, and then I'm capable of writing it down and figuring out what we need to do. But I don't take action. I always have this feeling that there is something more that needs to be done before I can realize it. Because it can't be that simple, right? The truth is, often it is that simple. Deep down, I know what needs to happen, but somehow I fail at really making a step and doing it. I envy taking another step, because it involves taking risk, going outside of my own comfort zone. That feeling of uncertainty creeps in, and it's a moment where I freeze. The truth is, often it's all between the ears. Of course, you have to be prepared. You have to think it all through. But it starts with taking a step. It starts with starting. And not making that step comes down to three things, in my opinion: overthinking, fear, and perfectionism. I think in today's society, we're all a victim of something called analysis paralysis. We have so many options, so many things we can do, that in the end we freeze. It's like a browser on your laptop. If you open 50 tabs, in the end the program won't work because there's an overload in whatever your brain can handle at one time. There is so much you can do that you don't know what the right thing is to do, and if you're on track to do the right thing. And then you start to feel that you're not up to the task. And they're right, because you cannot do it all at once. It's about taking steps. It's not about how big or small they are. Because every step during a marathon is getting you closer to the finish. And I feel like we all know we should take the step, but somehow we freeze and we end up not doing it. Science have proved that if you overflow your brain with unlimited thoughts, more information and things to do, your performance diminishes and the quality of what you actually do is often not right. This is why they say nobody can multitask. You cannot do two tasks for 100% at the same time. It's important to give room to your thoughts. You can write them out, you can meditate to learn how to see which thoughts are essential. But also to find out which thoughts are distracting, because a lot of the times thoughts are distracting. So thinking too much leads to paralysis by analysis. Many of us use thinking as a means of avoiding action. And then there is fear of failure. And that's not laziness, it's protection from your brain. Your brain is trying to keep you safe. Safe from embarrassment, criticism, and taking risk. There is a statistic that 45% of adults don't start a business because they fear that it might fail. The fear of failure is valid, and I'm not going to tell you not to fear that failure. It's important to notice two things though. Everyone fails. Name one entrepreneur that doesn't have at least 10 failed businesses. And you know what it is? Failure is not the end. It's the struggle of not doing it that is a lifelong sentence. Something either fails or it doesn't, but life continues. And failure often is the start of something new, a new opportunity. So try to reframe your association with failure. As a child, you failed often, but what did you do? You got back up and you tried again, or you tried something else. Take that attitude into life, and you'll see that failure is not something to fear. It's something to embrace, but be aware of. So I want to dare you to make failure a part of life. Make a list of things you want to try, but maybe are scared of doing. If you ever want to learn to go roller skating, do it. Try Chinese lessons, put it on the list. Find a cadence and try to fail. Maybe you succeed and that's great, but also try to fail and try to embrace that it's not a problem to fail. Get back up, try again, or try something new. Go out there, be wrong, but also be right. Because in the end, you'll be right far more often than you're wrong. It's the mindset that does it. And then again, I think the most dangerous of all, perfectionism. Of course, it would be great if it all went perfectly, exactly how we planned it. But it will not, and it will never. And if you keep on waiting for the perfectionism to happen, right, for something to be perfect before you act on it will never ever happen to you. I waited so long to start this channel. I needed that right bit of gear. I needed the best content. I needed that angle that nobody had. But then I started talking with people that had successful YouTube channels, and they told me it's about the journey. You start to learn while doing it. And if you don't start doing it, you'll never really get good at it. And then again, once you start it and you're improving, perfection will never happen because your perception of perfection changes. So something you think is good now might end up being mediocre in a few years. But it's the journey in the end that counts. So a lot of this comes back to our education. As a child, you're being taught to follow instructions. Ask for permission. Avoid mistakes. It's right or it's wrong. You're often not asked to create something. You're asked to memorize it. Wait for your turn and fall in line. Seth Godin put it well. He said, we punish non-compliance. We reward obedience and then do it again. But the real world is different. That rewards action. It rewards initiative. Not staying in the middle. You have to stand out. And to stand out, you have to do something that stands out. Be unique in a positive way. And we just talked about it. If you want to be unique, you have to fail. You have to try. You have to do something different. So now the reality check. Today, there are tools for everything. You have the internet. There is free software. We have AI, YouTube tutorials, community meetups, name it. Everything is available. And your ideas are just a multiplier of execution. Because a great idea with no action is nothing. A simple idea with constant action, that's a winner. So, the availability of everything has a downturn, right? We discussed this before, and we're gonna dive deeper into that in a future episode. The more options, the paradox of choice, paralysis by analysis, you will have to choose. I am going to do something. I think it's similar to watching Netflix. You open Netflix and you're looking so much at all the available options that you end up not watching anything because you haven't made a choice. And that's a problem, and we're gonna discuss that in a future episode. Subscribe, like this video to stay tuned for that. And then, what does this all cost us? Not taking action on what you want to achieve. Research has shown that people regret their inactions more than their actions. Meaning that people regret what they haven't done far more than the things they have done. So be bold and dare to take action on your goals. I challenge you right now. With the challenge, I want to give you a few things. I want to encourage you to sit down with a piece of paper and identify an idea you've been sitting on for way too long. Write it down, and below it, write down 3 steps you can take today to reach your goal. Set a time and date for your goal and call or text someone about it. Have accountability for the goals you want to reach. And then start, no matter how imperfectly. It's about making a start. Your ideas are like seeds, but the execution, that's the sunlight, the water, and the labor that makes them grow. And only you can do it. The people who change things are the people that start messy. They act before they feel ready, and they build confidence through movement and momentum. In the next episode, we're gonna dive into procrastination and decision fatigue, and also in the science behind why we stall and how we can fix it. But for today, ask yourself, what is that step I can take to reach my goals? To get that idea from out of my head into the world. Drop it in the comments, I'll be reading and responding to every one of them, and I see you on the next episode where we try to build our life together.